first.
I actually managed to round up a list of some of the best racing games in the Google Play since the beginning of 2022. But with the so many new options to choose from, I just managed to compile another list, in fact even better, much better than the first one, and this is technically the top 20 best new racing games for your mobile devices up until September 2022. Let's go. And number one, actually from a tad over a month ago, well, we've got over here something called Drive Zone Online. Now, this is specifically one of the good driving games that underwent the shadow of a couple of bigger racing game announcements earlier. The game is an online-offline open world racing game with some super realistic graphics and some superb gameplay system. Game is totally free, it's downloaded over 100,000 times ever since last month, and this is actually captured on a phone. Oh, game, in case that's your thing, has a pretty big single player campaign as well. Moving on, we have CarX Street. Literally the best looking racing game that came out in 2022. This game has been a long time coming, so it is at the moment pretty much fine-tuned to perfection almost. It takes roughly 700 megabytes of space, and this is actually some in-game footage. At the moment, listen to this, CarX Street is available only on iOS devices and only on a limited number of locations. The Android version, however, is set to be released worldwide and also for PCs as well later this month, if not sometime in October. At number 3, we've got the old GT Car Stunt Master, which is downloaded over 10 million times since July this year. It is definitely one of the most overrated stunt games on the mobile devices at the moment, and as it is in the most cases, very similar to the rest of the stunt games, albeit with supercars as opposed to monster cars this time around. It's a pretty fun game, it's a little buggy, got tons of ads, I'm not gonna lie, that you have to consider, and it'll take you down less than 100 megabytes of space, so that's a good thing. Just keep it in mind. Coming up behind that, and pretty similar to CarX Drive Zone, hence the copied title sort of to some extent, we've got from a couple of weeks ago something called CarX Street Drive Racing Game, which is not a bad game at all. On the contrary, it's quite fine-tuned in terms of graphics, but unoriginal, and it takes you down for 1 gigabyte of space. That's a big deal. This is an open world, just driving game in which you can even drive through seas and all sorts of nonsense. And if you're in for some time waster, this is literally your best bet. At number 5, we've got something over here called Furious Heat. Now, this is frankly from April this year. It is actually the next installment to the Furious Payback. Well, not to be mistaken with Fast and Furious franchise, however. It's a totally separate franchise, and if we're being fair, it's pretty much a mobile version of the official Need for Speed Heat, with some really well-balanced console-rendered graphics and features. It's a story-based driving game with tons of missions and environments to go through, and takes you down only 130 megabytes of space.
We're chasing our tails here. Pursuit's over.
Next time they won't be so lucky. Okay, back to work, everyone.
At number 6, we've got OWRC, or Open World Racing. Now, frankly, this doesn't happen quite that often because it's kind of hard to find a racing game nowadays that plays for free and at the same time delivers in most departments, like the graphics, physics, content, and replay value. Because Open World Racing over here from a tad over a month ago is a pretty good open world game with lots of potential, I would say, and a very big map and a good lighting system in terms of just graphics. The game takes place in the cities, but you can also go off-road. The graphics and the gameplay are pretty much all the way adjustable. That is a very good win point, if I say so myself, and it is also all the way free. And moving on, we've got Kart Racer Drift, or technically just a global test or version of it by Nixon, which is one of the biggest mobile game developers out there right now, as a competitive online racing game, and one that actually has a single player campaign too, with some character progression stuff to boot and stuff like that. Now this doesn't say, but the game's actually downloaded over 1 million times since only a couple of weeks ago. It is totally free with in-app purchases only. The game is supposed to have a lot of mods to go through, maps, cards, characters, and lots of customizations as well. Check it out. You can actually sign up for the game's pre-register as of this moment. At number 8, we've got Horizon Chase 2. Technically a series of award-winning racing games so far. However, as it was the case with the first game, an Android exclusive, this is at the moment only limited to iOS devices. Gameplay-wise, this is a truly 90s classic but multiplayer racing game. I would say this is one of the most vibrant looking games out of any genre. Not just racing, it's got a ton of developer support, it runs well, it's got a campaign, lots of mods to go through, and it's only rumored to be released for Android devices and PCs at a later date. So just keep it in mind for now. Next up we have CarX. This is, I believe, the beginning of a new series of parking sims, and one that actually managed to pull it off in a good way since earlier this month. Guys, this game kind of has it all. It is free, got a diverse customization option, it's got a multiplayer, it's less than 100 megabytes, some superb graphics for such size, and over 100 off-road SUV supercars and just different types of vehicles to just roam around and discover. Check it out. This is by the same developers of Drive Club from barely last year, which is so far downloaded over 1 million times as well. And finally at number 10 we have Moto XR Max, actually from the same folks who earlier came up with Racing Fever. This is perhaps the best thing the company's ever came up with, although a bike racer is a first, and frankly not a bad one for a mobile game. Graphically I would say the game's a 10 out of 10, the controls of which are very smooth, although a tad buggy at times, quite nice. Like, you don't just have to race, it's more like a Need for Speed game where you get to outrun cops and stuff, and all of that for only 70 megabytes of space.